Hello, welcome to lab number 2. The purpose of the lab is to observe the motion of an object that is dropped from rest and falls somewhat slowly straight down. Will the motion of the object in real life correspond to the motion described using the laws of physics? We discovered that it indeed does. I decided to observe the motion of a washcloth falling. I recorded a video and analyzed it using Tracker and created two computational models for my observations, one considering drag and one without. My system was the washcloth and the surroundings was everything else. For an object to move with a non-constant velocity, the net force of the object must exist or be constant. The motion of the object is described using Newton's second law. So, to analyze the motion using Tracker, of course we uploaded the video, aligned the axis, then placed tracking points all along the washcloth's path. The video analyzed tracking points and correlated time and position values. And with this graph we generated over here, we can see that the relationship between vertical positioning and time is parabolic, which means that there's acceleration, constant acceleration. And here we set up the computational model. We set the initial conditions of the washcloth, like the weight up here and the position, and then we proceeded to calculate the weight vector down here, and we set F net to the weight vector as that's the only force acting on the object, and then we updated the velocity and position. Here we can see the computational model for no drag, and the position we already stated that it would be parabolic, and here we can see it's a constant velocity, or a constant, the velocity is changing at a constant rate. And then here we decided to try to make the computational model with drag. All the initial conditions are the same. I did forget to mention the maximum time is 0.367 seconds, because that's like the duration of the washcloth falling. Here we decided to solve for this constant proportionality. In order to calculate the drag vector, we just found this through trial and error, basically, to get an accurate read on how the motion of the washcloth was observed to be. And then we set F net to the sum of the drag and weight vectors. So you can see right here, because both forces are acting on the object. And then we just update velocity position as we did before. And here we can see that the velocity versus time graph in the period given, you can see it has more, like, it's not changing at a constant rate here. We can see, which is different than what we observed previously. And here we can compare the data. We can see that the computational model and the tracker and the model with the drag, and they all are relatively similar, but here we can see that the computational model is underestimating, like, severely, the position of the ball, and we can see that the computational model with drag is a little more accurate. And potential errors: inaccurate position markers while using tracker, or the axis is not perfectly aligned. Camera dimensions, distance calibration could be not fully accurate. And obviously we had to make the assumption that there were no other external forces acting on the washcloth. For example, just like the air conditioning could have just altered the movement of the washcloth. See here, when we ask what does it mean, our data with the drag predicts a terminal velocity where the force of drag pointing up exactly balances the force of gravity pointing down. This will result in the net force being 0 and the velocity being constant. So what if the washcloth was initially thrown downwards instead of being released from rest? Well, to see what the terminal velocity is, I increased time just so we could see the full description of the motion, because in the real experiment, the washcloth would hit the floor before it could reach terminal velocity. But here we can see the terminal velocities of both of these are the same. This one actually just reached it faster because it started at a greater magnitude of velocity compared to the original. And here we concluded that the motion of the object that's dropped from rest and falls somewhat slowly straight down actually does correspond to the motion predicted using Newton's laws of physics.